Well, do you want to Baggins kind of introduce yourself and your coachee, I guess? Because I'm not sure everybody knows who you are.
Yeah, I guess I can, and then I'll have Marcus introduce himself. So, everyone, you know me as Mr. Baggins, the kind of helper of Spilo, where I can edit the videos together, get the thumbnails made. But outside of Spilo's channel, I am currently the head Overwatch coach of the University of Central Missouri. It is a new esports program that we've set up. So, we're trying to get things rolling, and I'm trying to fill the boots as best as I can while also being a player at the same time.
Sweet. So multitasking to the nth.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's my senior year, so I got that going too.
Sweet. All right. So what are we here for today?
Well, if Marcus wants to introduce himself, he can tell us what we're going to be looking at.
Um, I'm a DPS player at UCM. This is a VOD of me playing Genji. We're gonna be reviewing it.
Sweet. Okay.
And you are what SR range?
Uh, I think I'm like 28 in plat.
All
All
right.
right.
He is a jumper between diamond and plat and has peaked at masters as a Torb OTP.
Okay. Sounds good. That sounds actually that doesn't sound good. That sounds bad. But either way, you did get to at least you got to masters. So well done, I guess. Um, okay. So I guess Baggins, the kind of way I want to do this is I'm gonna mostly stay quiet for the majority of this, but I will chime in occasionally. I'm gonna type some stuff up on Notepad that chat will see, and then you'll see afterwards. Kind of give you, and then maybe during lulls in conversation, I will give some input, maybe some feedback, and then definitely at the end of the review, we'll take some time to go over it. But I don't want to be too disruptive during the review.
Sounds good.
Okay. I'm gonna
All
mute my
right,
mic for now.
Marcus.
Yep.
So we've talked. All right, sweet. We've talked about your Genji before. This is not a first time review on your Genji.
Yeah.
So what have you been working on necessarily?
Utilizing wall climb a little more. I mean, last time we did a review, it was a little while ago when it was Genji. 'Cause the last one we did was Echo.
Hmm.
Um,
So you're just trying to work on wall climb. There's
and maybe
no.
using deflect a little better, but I'm trying to think what else.
Are the deflect changes messing you up?
Um, I've gotten used to it fairly quick. It's just a little longer than I think always, but
All right. Well, we'll start out talking about what you got going on with your comp, what you got to worry about, what your goal is. So you've got almost the league standard comp going on here outside of the diva. Like, I mean, this is pretty much it's fairly close to what you're gonna get in comp. That's as close as you're gonna get. So you got your Ryan, you got your diva. Your diva is gonna hopefully help you out a little bit, and you want to try and stay in sights of Ana if Lucio decides for some reason to stick with his Ryan 24/7. And you're
yeah.
actually playing with our other DPS player, Sean. So that's good. You can have comms with him. Are you in comms in this game with everyone or just Sean?
I think just with Sean, but like I'm still in comms, but they nobody was really
Okay, so
talking to
you're
me.
in a Discord call and then you're in
Yeah.
the. All right, cool. So you do have comms, so you can hear stuff if someone calls it out. That's good. So you're kind of looking to farm Nanoblade as best as you can because they got a ball who's just going to be doing ball things. They got an Orisa who's only got a shield that lasts so long. And then you're also wanting to look for baiting out immortality field. It's not necessarily just you doing that. You want to do it as a team, but that's an important one to get out so that you can use blade to its fullest potential.
Yeah.
You don't really really your only true guy you got to worry about pinging you down really quickly is soldier. I mean, Arissa can kind of shoot you. Reaper can if you get too close. Bap's also going to be a bit of an issue, but for the most part, you've only got like two people to worry about, so you should be pretty free reigning here. So you're trying to build blade. You're trying to get some picks. If the Mercy's out of position because she flies too far, if you can get to her safely without too much risk involved, you know, you want to be kind of doing that kind of thing going on there. So it might take a minute for this to actually like buffer a bit and give us a clearer image. But so since this is Gibraltar, you're gonna want to try and utilize high ground as much as possible because that's where they're gonna want to be. the deflect was a little preemptive. You know, like you kind of put yourself in a position to have to use it,
Yeah.
which is kind of bad. You're just like getting in front of everyone, and you don't know if you have support from your team to do that. And boom, right there. Like you've gone too deep is what you've done here. You've just simply gone way too far. You're out of your Ana's LOS. Lucio's not going with you, so there's really no need to be this far unless you're going to be up top near the boxes that are like up there behind. There's
Yeah.
really no need at all to be this far back. That's simply just really what happened there. Is you got a little bit too greedy trying to do whatever you're trying to do, and we're only at 30% ult charge, which I mean is okay. But we probably could have gotten closer to 50% had we simply played smarter with where we are. Okay, that's good. I wouldn't chase a ball, especially through his minefield, because now you're trapped on the other side. You
All right.
can get out because you're a Genji, but unless he's like in somewhere messing with someone, he's not really your job at that point. Like right here, you can duel him a little bit if you want. There you go. There you go. Go in with your diva. Go in with your diva. Nope. Okay. Fair enough. Go top left. Look for some poke. Okay, you need to be getting top left here. Like, I don't know why we're down here necessarily, because one, there's a window here.
Yeah.
So just being here in general is a bad idea. But you thrive being more on the off angle than being right up in front, unless you're running something. Like if you're running an Orisa, that's a really bad arrow. If you're running an Orisa, it'd be a completely different story. You'd want to be kind of sticking with the team a little bit more, taking more soft off angles, but you'd be looking for the pulls, getting blade off of the pulls, and doing it that way. But you've got a Reinhardt and a Diva here. You want to be trying and taking those off angles as much as possible until you're ready to, I don't know, maybe combo shatter with a blade, but you're more than likely going to do a nano blade. You should be
Yeah.
looking for a nano blade here. That's your kind of win condition, especially down in this elo. It's usually almost a guarantee every time. Good pick on the BAP. I mean, honestly, they just cleaned up, so look for the soldier. All good. And at this point, I'd just be setting
Really
up
quick,
for a new
I
spot.
might need to refresh. Mine isn't replaying right now. Oh, there it is. Okay, maybe it was a little laggy behind. Sorry. Go ahead.
Let me just sync it up real quick. Hopefully, it'll do that pretty quickly. We don't want the man's behind.
Let me just refresh really fast, see if that fixes things on my end. Careful, chat. Don't look at the password, secret password. All right, we should be okay.
Okay. Do you have any questions thus far, Marcus?
No, not really.
No. Okay. Right now, it's mostly seeming like you're just not taking those off angles that you'd want to be taking, especially against like the Orisa's not gonna really move. The only person that's really moving around is the Reaper and the Ball. Soldier's gonna stay on kind of off angles and stuff, and the supports are gonna be where supports normally are. So the Orisa should be some kind of free ult charge if you can get on that off angle away from the other two DPS.
All right.
So hopefully we might see that as we're moving forward. I just farm this Orisa right now. She's just completely out in the oh, okay, or we're gonna do that. All right, that works too. That was just the. You left the BAP. I know you didn't have dash, or did
Yeah.
you?
I don't think
Yeah, you didn't have dash, so it was kind of. I don't know. That's kind of rough because you missed your kill to get the dash reset, so you're kind of
Yeah.
left at the mercy of whatever they handed you. But at that point, you just as well back off, back to your team, just accept that it's failed, and get some support from them, and then you don't die as easily. And that's good early pick. Don't know why you dash there. Not enough confidence in hitting still targets, apparently.
Apparently.
I would not frontline like that. Not really worth it. I'd be top left right now when they're trying to come through the door. Now you're fine, but before you could have prevented this McCree from getting in, this Reaper from getting in. Just being over on the top left, you could poke either side without much trouble. All right, I don't want you really worrying about what's behind you. That's the diva's job. Just if the diva's not going to acknowledge it, then you can kind of worry about it. But she seems to be pretty on top of it. I need you getting top left right now, getting some poke in. See, and the main reason I'm wanting you to get up here is simply because this is your sights on the enemy, and then whenever you poke out a little bit more, you get a little bit more. But if you're up top, you have a much bigger area to shoot at them and get that early poke. And it's not like you don't have easy access to getting out of their sights. You can come up around top, you can drop back down. If you need to, you can come into here for a split second so that your team can wrap around the corner. Like you have plenty of, there's no downside to being up here at this point, especially since you're kind of cleaning up, sort of, or trying to prevent them from coming out of spawn. I mean, like, both your tanks right now are super far up. So you should be up there with them just because it's better for all of you to go in than just they go up and no one else is helping them out.
Yeah.
Remember that rock is not deflected. You can't deflect rock. Okay. All right. I'm going to assume that was called out. We wanted to do that. It's not a bad choice. Their focus is on the front when they launch window. He's already used flash, so you could have just gone in on him. I mean, it's really hard to keep track of a Genji.
Yeah.
You're just staying back a lot, and Genji's really good at being up in their face and around them when the fight's devolving, not necessarily like at the start. As the fight's going on, then you want to start getting into people's faces when your team's pushing in with you. Pre-fight is all poke, and then once you start getting mid-fight, then you start getting a little bit more into them. And then cleanup is just cleanup. You try and take the duels that you can and don't die during cleanup. That's basically the thing. Once you've won the fight, you do your best not to die, but kill them.
Can we pause really quick, Baggins? Can I call
Yep.
you individually really quick, just for like a 2-minute break tops?
Okay.
Would that be all right?
Sure.
All right, great. Okay, so just so we can like have the second half with a little bit of feedback from my end. So far so good. Maybe something that you could focus on is you're talking a little bit about like the high grounds and the off angles, and obviously this map is oppressively strong with Genji. Maybe you could talk with him more about not just on this map, but why in general that's a good spot for Genji to be if he can. Maybe to kind of go more in depth and have him try and guess and kind of talk that whole point through, because that's such an important concept for Genji play in general that if he understands it better, maybe you guys discuss it out a little bit, he'll remember it better or he'll understand why it's so important, so then he'll go out of his way to look for it in games.
Makes sense.
All right, so just like, because I think you're 100% right, but I think maybe a little bit more discussion and explaining why, and have him talk to you as well. Maybe it'll like stick better, if that makes any sense.
Right. Make him come to the conclusion.
Yeah, like help him along the way. Sure. Okay. So far so good. I'm gonna hop back in the other call.
All right. Okie dokie. Let's get this party rolling again. Let's see if the comp changes at all, which might change how you play a little bit. Let's see if we can come forward a little. Okay, we're gonna get a little. Okay, the comp has stayed exactly the same, so that's perfect. So your goals are literally the exact same, except now you've got to worry about the enemy team because now they have swapped to a Genji of their own. you've got to keep track of him. Okay, know what he's doing, how he's performing. You want to be tracking that blade because you know how well you're doing. You can pretty much tell how well another Genji's doing, and now they're going for the win condition of Dragon Blade.
Yeah.
So you want to try and beat them to it as much as possible. You want to farm Blade faster. You want to keep him from farming Blade if you can. You also have to watch out for the Ashe now because they're obviously playing that to, put some pressure on you and put probably some pressure on the Diva as well. They're also playing a Zarya, so you're susceptible to a lot of damage from her if you get too close. You also don't want to farm her bubbles unless you plan on finishing her off afterwards. You don't want to just give her free charge just to break a bubble if you're not going to have any follow up on it. Is kind of the thing here. So let's just get rolling. Now this is kind of dangerous right off the bat because we know post mortem what this comp is. You, however, have no idea what they're doing. You now have full sightlines on both of these, and all it takes is one Widow OTP to just pop out that door and decide, you know what? I'm done with this Genji, and then just pops you in the head. I know you like deflecting Widow, but I'm just not sure it's the greatest risk to take at the very start of a round.
All right.
My personal opinion. I would be more over here and simply corner peeking and poking and getting that spam damage. And as soon as probably ball comes up and the Genji comes up, maybe the Ashe comes up, then you just backtrack. You either come around here and backtrack, or you just go through and backtrack. Here is probably the quicker option. Just get back to your team a lot faster and get
Yeah.
that support immediately. So we're utilizing high ground, which is good, but I mean that's the typical starting spot on here. Now, another reason that up there is really good is simply because you have a lot of good early poke, which builds your blade really quickly. Like you've already got 10%, but this could probably be closer to like 15, 20% by now if you'd been top right.
Okay.
That's kind of the thing here is that's why these high grounds are so important. Now, why do you think high ground's so important?
Um. Well, there's a couple different things, but it also makes it forces the enemy to like look at a different angle too, versus
Hmm.
just looking at your team. But um, it can also help you shoot over shields if they have them. But
Yes, it gives you better poke and spam choices. It makes them have to worry about a threat from both sides, which a shield can only go one way, and they're not even playing a shield here anymore. So they're even more susceptible to just taking damage because they decided not to play a shield character, and you're just going to be all over them, or should be all over them. And it's just going to make your life a whole lot easier on getting that blade quickly and denying them from doing exactly what they want to do. Because like even right now, I mean, you're backing off, but no one's even looked at you yet because you're up here. I'd rather you be over here personally, because then you're going to force someone to move their position up top, which might make them easier to get to. But they're focused on these guys right here. So you're already having to make them choose who do they want to shoot at, who do they want to focus on. And they're going to focus on the front line 9 times out of 10, unless you're just really that big of a nuisance. See, and you're also not really following your team. You're not keeping track of where they're at. You can keep track of that a lot easier by being up in the top left as well. You're just being really timid with staying as far back as possible, where Genji thrives more being close to the fight, being closer to their teams. You want to be working with your team and not hoping that your team does something to open something up for you.
okay.
And they were just trying to go for stall, but wasn't going to work out anyway. I've got a fly in here that is bugging me. Okay, so where do you think you should be going from here? You know they're pushing through the main choke. They've just gotten through main choke, and they're probably going to be spreading out. They've got a Genji, they've got an Ashe, and they've got a ball. So if they're smart, they're already spreading out, getting the spots they want to be in. So where are you wanting to go and why?
Probably on high ground. Then I could get a good view and possibly figure out where everyone is. Possibly a good target to try to harass or maybe even dive. But
Now, by high ground, where do you mean exactly? And you can take the pen
um,
here if you want.
I mean, I could either go on top of the ship or I could go just through the ship, kind of on the bridge part. But
All right. So ship is going to give you a lot of easy cover, not necessarily from the top here, but if you back up far enough, you get some pretty easy cover. But down here, it's really easy cover. You can get some good poke from the top of ship. If you're over here on bridge, you're a little far away from everyone, and you are a projectile hero. So the closer you are, the more accurate you're going to be, unless you're just really good at leading your shots. But you're also opening yourself up to more angles as well. So I do think top of ship to at least start with is good. But where do you want to go after you've say once you're up here? You know, you get a bit of poke in on the ball or someone that's down there, and they're starting to look at you, and your team's moving to a certain location. Let's say your team just moves straight up to them. Where do you want to go from the top of ship?
probably drop closer to my team. Maybe if my diva is going on a certain person, maybe I could go in with them. But
Mm-hmm. Let's theoretically say the Ash goes top here, and the Genji's just playing down here. If your diva goes over on this Ash, it is perfectly okay to 2v1 her. It's actually better if you do that because she's just going to coach gun out, and diva has 6-second boosters, but you can get higher damage at a larger range. So you both going on her is going to probably guarantee that kill unless their Ana and their Brig just completely pocket the crap out of her, and including the Zarya. But that forces out cooldowns. That forces out a projected bubble if they use it on her. That might force out a nade. That might force out a sleep. It'll force out an armor pack, maybe a whip shot if she thinks she can hit the diva and move her away, or hit you and move you away. It forces stuff out and makes them use stuff, whereas all you've done is maybe use boosters and a dash. They can end up using a lot of stuff. This is of course all theoretical, but you get what I'm trying to say is you want to be in a position to where you can follow up with your team as they're moving along with the fight.
okay,
You also want to be in a spot to where like I wouldn't want you all the way over here necessarily because the fight's going to take place over here and you're going to be so far away from the fight to start with. It's going to take a dash to get you over there or a long walk over. Whereas, like you said, if you're up here or even right here on high ground, you're going to be a lot closer. You have plenty of cover to use. You even have a mini right here. So you're just going to be way better being even just that much closer to everything. So right now you should be going top left. Your diva's up there fighting a Genji ball. You should even up that fight. Here, I think frontal spam is fine. I mean, your team hasn't really decided what they're doing quite yet. You could, at this point, probably be up here because our theoretical situation hasn't happened. I can't tell where the Ash is necessarily, but I don't think anyone's really over here. So you can be up on this bridge and just spam down on them, and that might give your diva the go ahead to push in on someone if you get them low enough, and you can just finish off that target. Mm. That was just you got cornered. They played Nano Blade. You didn't really have much to deal with it. Move forward a little bit. All right, just farm this ball for everything he's got. Now you want to get back. You want to get back. Quickly get back. However, you probably want to get back and get up here.
okay,
Just because they're gonna come through here, and you've got an Ana who's got Nano, and you've got Blade. They just use Nano Blade, so they don't have a direct counter blade to pull at you so that all the attention's everywhere. They do have Rally though, so you might want to try and pull that out if you can. And they also have Grab, so you're gonna have to watch out for that. Bob's not really too much of an issue, depending on how she places it. Down here, the placements aren't all that great, but that's no reason to discount Bob because he's just, an aimbot. They introduced cheaters into this game. Okay, that ball right there. Right there. You're so tunnel vision on this front that you had free ball. Just like, he's just going to sit up there if you ignore him. You have to make him move. And you're also dropping down from high ground here. Now, why are you dropping down from high ground?
I'm not really sure.
I think what you're trying to do is you're trying to get closer to make your shots easier, which I would agree with had the ball not just gone up top right. If the ball was still down here, if there's a little ball down here, then I would totally agree with you coming down and getting a little bit closer and make your shots a little bit easier and maybe help your team if the diva decides to boost in. Because being up top right is going to be a little bit far because they haven't pushed the card up that far yet. But even so, I would still, if we were up here before the fight even started, you'd have all the range you want. Like they would be close. There's only a couple people that can deal with you. Your Ana has full sights on you, or should, as long as the ball is being taken care of. Like just all around better for you. There, you didn't have sights on your Ana more than likely. At least you were able to make it work. I'd leave the brig. I'd leave. Oh, okay. Your Ana came through on that. So, who did she give the nano to? Did it actually hit? No, it didn't hit you.
No. I think it hit
I
the
don't know who she
brig.
gave it to, but at least you're synced up again. But that's kind of. All right, there we go. We're leaving. We got a good spot up here. We got a good spot. We were up there, and we left. Another good reason to be up top left here is look where ball's at. You can try and poke him out from up top left if he's not hiding himself correctly. Now there's a diva bomb. You want to go in on this? All right, you've killed two. Just go. Don't be staying back. Just go. Go forward. If you go forward, hopefully your team goes forward. If not, then you pull back really quickly. But see, look, they're scared. You can just kind of freely be where you want. There's no need to be all scared about what they're doing. Yeah, the Zarya's high charge, but this spot isn't too bad. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay. Lots of stuff going on here, boys. See, here we're frontlining again. We're just going in and frontlining on everyone, and then boom, that puts us out in a bad spot. Do you see how pretty much every time you go on low ground for an extended period of time, you end up dying really easily?
Yeah.
Whereas if you at least start out on high ground, the other idea is that you have quick escapes. Like if the Genji dashes up to you with Dragon Blade, you just dash away instead of having to back up on foot on the ground and hope that your team can pocket you. I mean, during this game, I'm sure you felt kind of sort of useless unless you had Blade. And that's mostly because you're not taking the angles or the spots that would give you value. Here, we're just trying to stall, so there's really not much you can do about that. Stall fight. Right now, here, nobody's looking at you. Who do you want to be going after? And you've already taken one down, so you're already at a... Well, you've evened it up, so you don't have... Either one has a brig, but they're on the attack, so you technically have advantage here.
Yeah.
No one's looking at you. Where do you go?
I'm high ground. From what you've been saying.
You can do that. I would say you'd shimmy up here, because the Ashe is right here, and she's about to go around this corner and just book it. So you don't have dash. I would just kind of come over here, shoot at her, shimmy up at the top, poke her down, poke the Zarya is going to have a long walk back, and same with, well, the ball's not going to have a long walk back, but the Zarya, if she wants to go all the way back, she has to come all the way over here, like, or she has to come all the way over here. If you're up top, I mean, no matter where she goes, you can shoot at her, and if she looks up to shoot at you, That means she's not looking at everyone else, and you've got easy just poke around the bridge.
Yeah.
You see what I'm getting at? How this is advantageous for you to just
Yeah.
always, not always, but like I'd say a solid 60 to 70% of your time should be up top until you're trying to make things happen like Dragon Blade. But even then, starting out on high ground isn't a horrible idea if you've got sightlines on your Ana. It just makes your dash into the team a lot easier to hit a sleep dart on or something. All right, we're getting a little gutsy with the like full charge Zarya here, but that's fine. Your comp has also changed. You now have a Winston. Your Winston is going to want to be really aggressive, a lot more aggressive than Diva, simply because, Winston's a little bit stronger than Diva at just going in, getting in some poke damage, and getting out. Because Diva against Zarya is bad news. You have like 0 defense, whereas Winston just dances with his bubble. So he's going to be a lot more aggressive. And I mean, that's why they probably chose Winston, is because they weren't being aggressive enough. They're going to be going after the Genji. They're going to be going after the Ashe. They're going to be going after the Ana. You want to try and go with him as much as possible whenever he goes in, because there's literally no one else that can go in with him outside of Sean.
Yeah.
And I know Sean's not really the greatest at following up with a dive tank all the time, but we've never really played a whole lot of dives, so there's no reason I should expect you guys to do that first time. Okay, that was a good duel. You can pop right back on over and poke at him. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You got healed up. You can go back on around. You can be top right there. There is no reason to be. Okay. I would just duel this ball here. Just duel him. Your Ana's right here. She's got full sights on you. No sense to come down. Yeah, there's mines, but the likelihood of him like roping you into a mine is going to be pretty rough unless you're just not paying attention where they're at. Go after this Genji. Go get him. Go get him. Go get the Genji. Why are you so far back all the time? The mines don't have a 20-meter radius. You can get closer. Like even here, you're so far away from the fight that you're basically useless. Okay, we get the Genji, or not the Genji, the Ana. All right, and now just get back to cart. This is already a lost fight. You lost 3, and then it's just all ogre. It's all ogre. Okay, let's move back. So now we're kind of even. Team fights are going to be just as chaotic. I don't see the comps changing at all because that worked for them and it's kind of working for you. You're going to start out with Orisa. Okay. All right, double shield. Nice. All right, do you have any questions before we move on? Because this is a new comp, which means you play a little bit different.
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I just gotta play more off the Orisa pulls, right?
Yeah, you want to. Hopefully, your Orisa gets some pretty good pulls. If it seems like a pretty big group, if it's safe enough for you to do, common thing is just dash through it and then immediately get out. Like, don't overstay your welcome. She's gonna help you charge this thing up, hopefully, with her pulls. That's probably not her primary goal because this is plat. That's not really the thought process, but with double shield, you've got a lot more playing room, especially against non-double shield. You don't have to worry about shields on their end, and you've got all the shields in the world. You can play with your Sig. You can he's gonna hopefully be on off angles, at least soft ones. You can play a little more, I would say, aggressive with this, while also being passive with your, just staying alive. You're trying to stay alive here. Use pulls as much as you can. Dash is the easiest way, but you want to make sure that your team is able to support you while you're doing that because you're going into the enemy team. You also want to make sure you have an escape plan as soon as you dash in there because you're not going to dash more than likely unless you kill someone. Here again, we're just kind of opening ourselves up to anything. You just need to poke around that corner and shoot at the doors. There's no need to be all the way out in the open. Good focus on the halt. She got no one, so that's, unfortunate, but okay, yeah, you guys are kind of forced to back out, so that's fine. Get back, don't overstay your welcome. Now, you want to be getting top here. Where are you going? Where are you going? Why are you going bottom? You need to be going top here. The main thing with that is like I see what you're going after. You're trying to get the Ana. Hopefully but you don't even have deflect here yet. Like that's one big no. You don't even have deflect yet. And you're going after an Ana. Obviously, you're not going after anyone else but her. There's also
Yeah.
the factor of Brig. You don't know where she's at yet when you're walking down here. She could be just right around that door, and she's just gonna bash you, regardless of sleep being available or your deflect being available. Going down bottom here is just a death sentence to begin with. Whereas if we go top right here, I'm gonna swap to blue because that's gonna there we go. We go top right here. They have no choice but to push through here. Like they're not gonna go anywhere else. The only people gonna get to you, because the Ash hasn't been doing it, so I'm kind of discounting her at this point, is the Genji and the Ball. Like those are the only two really trying to get to you. And even the Genji's kind of not really dealing with you at all. It's mostly the Ball, which you can get him to go away pretty quickly if you are in sights of your Ana. She's gonna pocket you, he's just gonna give you ult charge, and you're gonna be perfectly a-okay. But it gives you spam down right here. If someone comes from over here, you've got spam down to there. Someone comes through this door over here, you can quickly move over to this. You see how this is advantageous? How this is giving you all the room to work while
Yeah.
being safe enough to just not immediately die as long as you're not wasting all your cooldowns?
Yeah, and then when I need to get more aggressive, it makes it easy to drop down too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when you need to be aggressive, because you can just that was a key word you used there, drop down, not dash down. You can simply
Yeah.
just drop down if you need to. Save that dash for if someone gets low or whatever. It just makes life a whole lot easier for you than going bottom here and maybe getting value out of getting the Ana, who's going to be pocketed by the Brig. Like the Brig can only pocket the Ana at this point. This comp doesn't really lend itself to Brig necessarily because Zarya is just going to be frontlining all the time, and she's going to be wanting to take damage. So it's kind of a weird situation to have a Brig on this comp. But is there any reason you should not be top right here at any given point?
Um, I don't. I mean, the only time is if I need to drop, but
You don't want to be top right if you see that the enemy team is like, I'm trying to think with this comp specifically. Go away, fly. I don't want you here. Um, if it's a say Ball and Ash are both top right, or Ball and Genji are top right, you don't want to be going up there. You might want to poke them, but you're not going to win that fight. In situations where you're at a disadvantage is when you don't want to go up there. Because all these times that you don't go top, you have advantages. There's never been a time where you don't really have the advantage at hand. Going top is only a non-factor when you are at a complete disadvantage of going there.
so pretty much when they're occupying high ground, right?
When they're occupying it, or say you've already taken one down and your team is pushing in really hard, there's no point. If they lose someone here, let's just say they lose the Brig. Great pick. And they're down here. Your team should hopefully push into them. There's no sense in you climbing up here, taking high ground, and they're going to be backing out that away. You just as well kind of push forward with your team. You could push forward with your team, shimmy up all the way up here, and get behind them, and now you've got a pinch here, sort
Yeah.
of. A one man pinch, but that's kind of the only time you don't really want to be top. Otherwise, it's just giving you too much value to be up there. And Genji's really good at flipping between the two, but the thing is you pretty much stay stagnant on staying bottom when there's not really a need to be. You can be almost mid ground because you can double jump, so you can just kind of drop down, poke a little bit to be a little bit closer to get easier shots, and you just use your double jump to get back up the top and take the longer, bit harder shots. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
See, look at that, boom. They immediately all just come after you. See, even right here, we don't have to be necessarily like high ground. We can just be right over here. This is what I
Yeah.
call mid. This is what I call mid ground, where you've got a mega over here. You've got plenty of paths to get back out and around, and these are also going to be places where other Genjis and balls and stuff are going to want to go. That's another thing about going high grounds, is simply those are paths that your counterparts are going to want to take. So if you can take that away from them before they even get there, then boom, it's all yours. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Your team doesn't have to worry about it anymore. You've got that covered. Just like
Yeah.
the Sigma should probably be, making sure, like, really Sig would be worrying about this, and you'd be worrying about that, and then the Orisa worries about everything in this direction. That's kind of the ideal way this would be dealt with, and then Sean as Ash would just kind of deal with wherever he needs to be dealing with. Probably go top with you wouldn't be a horrible idea for him. All right, good. We take the left side. We go after ball. This is fine. This is fine. Just kind of farm him up. Go and stay back here. Good. All right, pull back. Unfortunate dash. Go after him. Going on him. He's between you and a teammate. Okay, so now they have a Hanzo instead of an Ash. So you're gonna want to be, I'd say, just as careful. I mean, Hanzo's a little harder to land shots on, but he's gonna be more one-shotty than the Ash will be.
Yeah.
So you want to respect him a bit more than Ash, just for that fact. However, you can probably duel him a lot easier than an Ash, simply because Ash has a better getaway tool. You're just ignoring him here. You know he's up there. Just go after the Hanzo. There's nothing you can do on point right now that will benefit your team. What would benefit your team is that you deny the angle they've taken now. Okay, that's fine. But they're rallying, so fighting here on point is really all you can do. Just try and stay alive as long as possible because there's only you and Lucio here. All right, you're the only one here now, and boom. Now, let's just theorize here. You don't go down to the bottom when the Hanzo is clearly top alone with no one to support him. Like, I mean, you understand he's up here, okay?
Yeah.
But you also see that 3 of his team are down here. So that accounts for 4 people. There's only 2 other people to account for, and I do believe you figured that where those. All right, boom. You saw for a second there, and probably realized where they're all at. They're also coming back. Ball's going somewhere, but like you should be able to. All right, you see him? You see him jump right. Where's his most likely next location to go to? There's about 2. There's 2 likely locations after he uses a jump that way. Actually,
He's
probably
probably gonna
3
go
if
to
he's
the
weird.
high ground where I'm standing on.
Yeah, he's going to come up here and just pot shots down here where you should be potting shots down at his team. But, instead, you just drop down and let him have any high ground he wants. He can come top here. He could go back to being up here, or he could be right here. Regardless, though, you're just giving him high ground for free. You're also giving Genji, if he chose to, high ground for like you're giving these angles up for free. There's nothing stopping you from taking these guys on. Meanwhile, you're worried about a slept ball that you're not going to be able to kill. Your team's not going to be able to kill him. You just need to be leaving him alone, to be honest with you. You don't want to go after the Brig because she's probably still has a bash up, but you don't know. So you just have to assume that she does until you're proven otherwise, or your team's called it out for you.
Yeah.
Do you see any advantage to leaving this high spot and leaving Hanzo alone?
I mean, the only thing at this point is I do focus on some of the people that are in the flux, but I think it's just the
Mm-hmm.
Ana, but
It's just
really
the
no
Ana.
help.
However, what does Flux do?
It raises them up in the air.
It raises them all the way up to high ground, where you would be at. If you looked to your right here, you would see Ana. and you could just shoot her without ever leaving high ground, and you would still have fulfilled that. And then as soon as you're done with Ana, you go back to dealing with Hanzo instead of having to do this weird wraparound thing of jumping down and then coming around here, having to deal with a brig, having to deal with a Zarya, having to deal with the ball because your team wakes him up. You know, there's not enough pros to going down to outweigh the cons. You see where I'm getting all this
Yeah.
from? We'll move forward. So and then they get first point. Okay. So this is overtime. This is crunch time. Your guys is trying to want to make a play as soon as possible. Sean's gonna want to use Ash as quickly as possible to get them off of cart when your team's all there. Unfortunately, though, you're now starting at a 5v6. So right now, your only goal here is simply to farm Blade.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna take this fight a 5v6. You shouldn't. You just want to farm Blade. So you want to get up here and just pot shots down at them. Here it's fine, but I want to see you going top right at this point. You don't need to be going back. You're fine. I mean, as long as you don't use dash early, you can pretty safely go top right and just spam them a little bit and then get out.
Yeah.
You don't want to overstay your welcome, but you could have gotten, maybe 5 extra% charge. This is just one of those nasty ult combos. Kind of hard to. I'm not saying it's fully your job to keep track of Zarya Grav, but they're in overtime. They're gonna do drastic stuff. You
Yeah.
could kind of expect a grab there, and you could deflect it, but that's not really a primary job of Genji, I would say. It's just a side thing that you can do. Here, I don't know if the benefit is. Well, you got a brig there. I didn't notice the brig, so you might be kind of fine trying to stall here. All right, everyone's back now. All right, being over here is fine. Oh boy. Okay, okay. When you pull blade, do you have a specific target in mind, or are you just like, I'm gonna blade and someone's going to die?
Depends on the situation, but like this is an overtime.
In
I'm
this situation, let's just take this one. You pulled blade.
um I think I was just trying to I don't think I had a specific target when I started.
Now I get where you're coming from. It's overtime, it's pressure,
Yeah.
it's a lot of stuff. However, you've just dashed in directly into a ball, right where you can't see anyone. Like you have no sights whatsoever. You have no idea where anyone is. So what are the chances of you actually getting a quick kill with this blade?
I mean, there's I mean, I know there's at least a few on cart because when I
Mm-hmm.
dashed in, I could see I think about 3 bodies, and then I'm gonna get another dash after I finish or once I activate blade, so I'm gonna be able to dash towards whoever I need to.
Mm-hmm.
But
The problem here is that okay, you see ball, then you slash dash, or well, you slash at him, and then you move on. Luckily, the Hanzo was there, but the thing is that it's easier to get a blade and get the value out of it if you already have an idea of the layout of where everyone kind of is.
yeah,
And where would we gather that information from?
high ground.
Yeah, from the bridge, more than likely. I- If you had started out up here, you can poke down here, you can poke down there. What also helps being high ground is you see the opportunity for blade. You're not just pulling blades simply to add something else to the fight to simply make them think about a blade. There is strategy to pull an ult to force out another one, but at this point, they don't have anything. Granted, we haven't really focused on ult tracking yet, so I don't expect you to have all the ults tracked, but like, they've just used dragons. The likelihood of them really having anything else is kind of small in overtime when they've just swapped off to a few people as well. it just makes your blade 10 times easier if you're up here, already spamming them down, already seeing the layout of the field. It also puts you in a position where if your Ana hadn't died, you would be in clear sightlines of her to get that nano that she had. And would just make it literally just makes life easier. That's all I'm trying to say. It makes your life 10 times easier.
Yeah.
It'll make the blade so much better and it will feel better and more natural because you have this plan in mind. You know, there's obvious targets you probably don't want to target first unless they're already really low. Brig's one of them. If she's full HP, probably don't want to go after her first. You probably want to go after the Hanzo first. Moira's another not great first option if you know she has fade because she's just going to fade away.
Yeah.
So like you want to have these people in mind on who you're going to go on first because you got to think about how am I going to get a dash reset or am I going to at least be able to get one kill on someone? Because all you really need is one kill out of a Dragon Blade. Obviously, it's really cool to get 2, 3, 4, but to turn a fight in overtime, one is plenty. And if you need to back off, you just back off. There's no need to stay in just to get another kill. Like it makes this blade feel so clunky, and like you don't know what's going on. Which, to be fair, most Dragon Blades look like they don't know what's going on. But in reality, if you watch any of Val, they do know what's going on. They know exactly what's going on. It just looks crazy because they know exactly what's going on. They know exactly where
Yeah.
they're turned to. So it looks like they're just getting lucky in where they're turning, but they've already got it in their head. Anna's over here, Briggs over here, Hanzo's over here. I'm gonna go to point A to point B to point C. Or even just they have a point A to point B, and then after that, you know what? However they've moved around, I at least knew where they were. And Brig probably not going to move very far unless she uses her bash to get away. So they're going to be in the same general area. That's kind of the thing, is that you don't really need to memorize exactly where they are. You just need to know the general locations because they're probably not going to move from there. It just makes your life so much easier. Like, I hope you're getting how all this high ground talk
Yeah.
is making everything easier for you to do. You won't have to use deflect as often, so you can save that for when you want to go in. You'll know when to go in because you're up top and see the battlefield easier. You'll have easier times getting blades off and getting targets that are important to get out of the fight as quickly as possible. And your team's going to be thankful because you're going to be a lot easier to take care of. Because it's also the fact of like Ana, she has to be able to shoot you through people if you're inside of your team. Whereas if you're high ground, she's only got like maybe 2 targets at most if you got an enemy with you to shoot. Instead of trying to shoot between an Orisa, between a Sigma, there's that aspect too. It just makes your team's life easier as well. Okay, we're starting top. Good. Just keep spamming shield. Just keep spamming. No. There's no need to get that far. Why are you pushing so far forward so quickly? At least through this angle.
I don't know. Just to try to get some more alt charge. I have dash and deflect, so I feel that I can at least try to get out if I need
You
to.
do, but you also have to worry about what do they have? They have pull. What do they have? They have rock. And I wasn't paying attention to if they'd used it yet. I'm just going to assume that they do because I'm trying to focus on you. So let's just assume they have rock. Let's assume that they have pull. Both of those are enough on their own just to keep you from getting out. And they have a BAP who, if he's any good, can kill you pretty quickly. They got a Genji. I mean, with a pull or a rock, you're going to be in the same spot. So you've got literally like 4 people. Sigma, if he's close enough. And I mean,
Hello? Isn't joining yet. I get my opportunity now to talk all a bunch of them and trash. Baggins sucks. Oh, there he is. Hey, Baggins, can you hear me? Baggins, can you hear me? Hello?
sorry, I was muted.
Hey!
Last session.
Nice. Okay. So I guess do you want to sum up overall really quickly your review with Mr. Marcus, and then we can talk separately?
Yeah, might as well. Okay, so you want me to just wrap up with
Yeah,
him?
go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So, as you could probably tell from the review, Marcus, it's mostly just your lack of use of the high ground when it's going to be like 10 times more beneficial for you than going on the low ground to get easier shots.
Yeah.
You don't want to limit yourself by getting easier shots. Like you're going to have to practice those hard shots. Longer distances you're going to have to practice, but the high grounds you take shouldn't be so long that it makes it detrimental to your aim with your shurikens. If it is, that just means you need to practice that more and you shouldn't be trying to avoid it. So really what
All
you need to
right.
be working on is taking high grounds at times that is going to help your team and help you do your job better. Early before fights, early poke, you want to be up there. Honestly, the only time you really want to come down from it is in cleanup phase. Or if
All
you're
right.
no blade and you got to be down there. Like high ground is just basically your friend to do what you need to be doing. And I mean, if you really need to go down to the low ground, just don't hang around there for literally the rest of the fight. Go back up to high ground. It's okay to go down and come back up, go down and go back up, because that keeps them guessing as to where you're at, especially if you do it out of their sight lines.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think, you said you're trying to work on wall climbing. I don't know exactly what you meant by working on wall climbs, but, going to high ground is really going to work on those wall climbing mechanics.
Yeah.
So I think that's really your main issue as of right now, is simply that you're playing Genji as if you were a McCree. I can't even say an Ashe, because Ashe would still use high ground almost as much as a Genji, a little less, but you'd still want to use high ground quite a bit. You're kind of playing like a McCree, which I know you played McCree for us all last semester, but you're playing Genji.
Yeah.
So don't play like a McCree because you're playing Genji.
All right.
I mean, that's really all I have to say on the situation, is just simply work on your high ground usage and use it between fights, starts of fights. Try and keep on targets that are going to want to go on that high ground. Deny them that path.
All right.
Okay.
That's kind of it.
Sounds good. Good summation. Marcus, appreciate it, brother. I'm gonna have a quick chat with Baggins, and I'm gonna head out.
All right.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay. So I wanted to say that overall, pretty good review. Good summation there at the end. I wanted to kind of give you one thing specifically I was looking at with this Genji that I think you might have missed a little bit, and then one thing specifically about your coaching style. First off, with the Genji specific feedback, I think a little bit more emphasis on making sure that when he's taking these angles, when he's taking these high grounds, when he's applying pressure, making sure that he's doing it with his tanks. Like there's just times where he'd go in really far, and his Reinhardt wasn't even doing anything yet, right? Or his Orisa would play shield and spam, and he's playing extremely passively. And then his Orisa shield breaks, she backs off, and then he's going in really aggressively shurikens. Like he's all mismanaged. And as a Genji, you're not always waiting for your tank to pick Winston and dive in for your aggression windows, right? It's like if your Rein is swinging, they're not looking at you, they're looking at your Rein. If your Orisa's placing shield, they're not looking at you, they're looking at your Orisa, who's threatening with her gun, with her shield, and with her halt and stuff like that. So I think that was one thing that just generally, as a DPS player, I always like to look at. And then specifically with your coaching, I think overall you knew your stuff. I don't think there was really any specific feedback that you were giving that I thought was wrong or bad. I thought you touched on the high grounds and the angles and the blade usage. Some of the micro stuff was pretty decent. So I don't really have any complaints there. I think the big thing that you'd want to work on, and this is kind of a twofold concept that kind of entwines together, is if you could be a little bit more succinct with your delivery. So kind of get to your point a little bit faster. Then once you've made your point, don't dwell on it. And then involve that discussion kind of like what we talked about in the halftime, where it was like, if you have a problem that you're seeing in this gameplay, you don't always have to be like, why do you think this is a problem? Maybe you can explain it to him why it's a problem, and then have him discuss ways that he could do it better. Or even just, does it make sense, right? Because ultimately, when I'm doing VOD reviews on stream, I'm roasting and hollering and screaming things, and that's great. But if you're actually able to work with somebody one-on-one, you want them to be involved with talking to you and explaining their logic for making that mistake, and maybe why then you can explain why their logic is faulty. And then even like going into having him give you other examples of where it might be good to hold high ground around the map or another map. So I think the highlight of your coaching career, or at least the last hour, was the end when you said something like, where would it be easier for you to scout for your blade targets? And he goes, oh, the high ground. And I was like, oh man, that's it. You just got it, right? He understood the concept now, it makes sense, and he can see it come to that fruition. And that was like, he understands that. And he's gonna go practice that, I guarantee. And he's gonna remember that too. So cut down on like dwelling on points and move on. And then whenever possible, make sure that he understands by either involving him in the discussion or just simply asking him, does that make sense? And then I ask you, does that make sense, Baggins?
Yeah, no, I've noticed this isn't my first review with my team. This is probably around my 10th, 12th review with a teammate. So I have noticed that I tend to just go on and on and on and on. And I've been trying to work it down bit by bit. And I think simply by trying to include him a little bit more, maybe ending with, does that make sense? And if at that point he says yes, then I can just simply move on. And that'll, fix the problem, just like fixing positioning fixes a lot of stuff in Overwatch down the line. So yeah, I agree with that a lot. That that is something that I've personally noticed, just thinking about it, not even reviewing it necessarily, just like I've noticed. I mean, even now I'm probably just going on and on for no apparent reason.
It's fine. I mean, I would ask one thing that one of the reasons or situations in which I would go on and on and on is when I wasn't confident that the person actually understood exactly what I was talking about, because I felt like I didn't do a good job explaining it. So through lack of quality, I'd go just quantity, right? So one way of remediating that is ask, does that make sense? And then have them explain it back to you. So then you're like, okay, maybe I'm not explaining this right. Can you explain it back to me to make sure that you're gonna say you're gonna say what I want you to say, basically? And then if they explain it wrong, you're like, okay, hang on, we got to go into a little bit more depth because I don't think you got it. But if they explain it right, well, then there you go, you're done, right? So if you're lacking the confidence that you're explaining it well, obviously just reps, but then have them explain it back to you, just so that you can move on and feel confident that they still understood it at the same time. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, man. Well, I had a lot of fun. I'm gonna send you the notes I typed up. You can also look back at the VOD. I typed some. Chat was ripping on you. I was ripping on you. Had a great time. At least, I mean, we had a great time. I have no idea.
Chat.
Yeah. Chat. The five heads. I will send you those notes, and then I'm gonna head out as well. But really, really great idea, Baggins. So chat. This was Baggins' idea. I thought it was a really cool idea, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. But I will let you go,
if
brother.
If you had any suggestions for other people that if you want to do this again.
That's actually a good point. That's a good point. If you guys do have any other suggestions, let me know along this line. But okay, thank you, Baggins. Appreciate it, brother.
Not a problem.
Yeah, see you, man.